Oh, what is the Upskis, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GWHockeyCast. We're on episode 119. Steve Yzerman of my little hockey show, where once a week I go through all of the major news and what's happenings around the NHL, kind of focusing in on the Leafs and Flames. Those are my two favorite teams. But I'll be talking about all 32 teams, and especially on this episode, because this is the predictions extravaganza, if you will. I'm going to be predicting the standings for the upcoming NHL season. We're going to predict the Stanley Cup winner and all of the awards. Going to be doing all that shit. But there's also some news we got to be touching on as well. Let's go to Detroit, y'all. I think Detroit is going to be celebrating in the streets with the current signing of Moritz Seider. Gets the 7-year extension, coming out to a measly $8.55 million per season. Steve Yzerman, you've done it again. Is he even the GM over there? Yeah, the Yzer plan. Of course. Dude, I think everybody, except for Detroit fans, are absolutely stunned at the cap hit of this deal. Moritz Seider easily is worth much more than 8.55. Come on now. I kind of giggled at the thought that, they're going to get Moritz Seider in underneath Dylan Larkin. That was the goal. And they actually freaking did it? Like, oh my God. So again, this is just another of many contracts signed by other teams that are not the Toronto Maple Leafs that make every single deal that the Leafs sign look like an absolute fucking joke. Moritz Seider, if he played, let's just say he plays for the Leafs. How much money do you think the Toronto Maple Leafs would have paid a 23-year-old right-shot defenseman, stud, can do everything? How much do you think that comes out to in Toronto Maple Leaf dollars? I'm thinking around 19 million? Nah, okay, let's be realistic. 10.5, 11, somewhere around there. It's definitely going to be like, they're going to be, I can compare that. Like, good luck trying to compare that to Morgan Rielly. Not happening. Not to be rude to Morgan Rielly, but I think Moritz Seider is a better defenseman than Morgan Rielly. Plus the right shot hand thing. So anyway, we're starting at 10. Easily starting at 10 if Moritz Seider's a Leaf. And then we just go higher from there. But of course, you get the not Leaf tax, which is great for all 31 other teams, and they don't have to pay that extra $2-3 million that Toronto seems to have to pay everybody. I'm fine. I'm completely fine. 7 years, 8.55. I don't think there will be a singular problem with that deal unless something horrific happens to Moritz Seider injury-wise. This deal is going to age like a very fine wine. It's going to look kind of like the Makar deal, where everyone's just like, oh yeah, there's this defenseman signed to this much money. Oh, there's Makar. Well, don't worry about him. You know, it's that's just an outstanding deal that Colorado got, and that's what I feel like we're going to be doing with the Detroit Moritz Seider deal for the next 7 seasons, where we go, oh yeah, Moritz Seider, one of the best defensemen in the league. He's only making 8.5, while all these other defensemen are making 10, 11, 12. Drew Doughty, Darnell Nurse makes more than Moritz Seider, Charlie McAvoy. How many other guys out there? Roman Josi. Nope, I don't think Victor Hedman's up there yet, but there's a lot of defensemen making more money than Moritz Seider, and I don't know if every single one of those guys is better than Moritz Seider. So, congratulations, Detroit. You win. Another spectacular deal done. The only downside is they didn't get the full 8 years. They only got 7. I am shocked that you got 7 at that cap hit. If it was going to be that cap hit, I would have expected like 4 to 5 years, an Austin Matthews type signing where it takes him, right into his prime, and that's when he gets paid the big bucks. But this deal here is going to take Moritz Seider till he's 30, 31, and then Detroit's going to have to pay the piper at that point, and they may not want to. Like, I would imagine Seider at that point would be like, I want another 8-year extension, and it's going to be double digits minimum. Like, we're 11, 12, who knows how much money he's going to want in 7 years, but this is a bargain, an absolute bargain. It's already a bargain. I think Moritz Seider has already proven himself to be worth that money to Detroit. He is very, very important to that team. So, yeah, dude, that is just absolutely sensational. An excellent deal right there. We'll definitely be going rambling on about that deal for the next 7 years on how fucking good it was and how the hell did Steve Yzerman get that done. That is Absolutely sensational. So, okay, let's see what other signings we got going on around the league. I don't think there's anything too crazy. Well, there has been a couple of big signings. I don't know if I talked about Artur Kaliev. He got a 1-year extension. Still no information on that. And I think I just read something that Artur Kaliev got hurt, so I don't know. You got Philip Tomasino. I think I talked about that one. Cole Schwindt and Ilya Solovyov signs with Calgary to both of these guys. 2 years for Ilya, 1 year for Cole Schwindt, 23 and 24 years old. Schwindt, the right winger, and Solovyov, a defenseman, 24 years old. Good chance we're going to see Ilya in some games for Calgary this season. They are a little bit light on the back end. And then New Jersey gets the Dawson Mercer contract done. That's some tidy work. 3-year extension for $4 million per season for the 22-year-old center. So it makes a lot of sense to go with a bridge-style deal right here. New Jersey in a good spot right now. They got a lot of good up-and-coming young players with the Hughes brothers, of course, and others. And Dawson Mercer, a player that looks to be a good piece for their future, and at a $4 million cap hit for the next 3 years, that could end up being a really nice bargain for New Jersey over those 3 years. And then after that, going to be a little bit of a different conversation, but that's a pretty nice deal right there for Dawson Mercer. And then Utah gets a big one signed. They get their young star, now he's not quite there yet, but now he's getting paid like one. Dylan Guenther gets an 8-year extension coming out to $7 million per season for the 21-year-old winger. So this is very interesting. I do not believe Dylan Guenther has played a ton of NHL games here. Let's just go take a look at his career stats. So, last season he got into 45 games and he had 35 points and was a -1, 18 goals in those 45 games. Not bad, but yeah, they're definitely banking on the future here. Sadly, we don't have a full season for Dylan Guenther to discuss. I believe he's had some injury problems early in his career so far. This is risky. I look at this as a bit of a risk, just looking at the numbers that he has put up so far. It looks like, as of right now, he would be around a 60, 65-point player in a full season. If he can get into a full season, like, it's very hard to tell what kind of player you got here. We know that he's very highly skilled. I believe this was the pick that Vancouver had to give up for, like, the Oliver Ekman-Larsson or something like that. So I know Dylan Guenther is definitely he's on the radar of Vancouver fans because they were supposed to have him. Anyway, 8 years. So yeah, he is locked in until he's 29-ish years old. So they have him locked up for pretty much his whole prime and his up and coming. So I think it's safe to say, as of right now, no, Dylan Guenther is not a $7 million player, at least in statistic-wise so far throughout his short career, but only 2 seasons, hasn't had a full season under his belt yet. This is the kind of deal that I would sign all the time in NHL video games, especially when you've done numerous GM modes and you know who gets good, and it seems like this is what I would do with Dylan Guenther. It's like, yeah, I know this guy's going to be a top-line player. Let's sign him early for a lower cap hit and make it risky, but I know it's going to pay off in the end. We don't know that yet, though. This isn't video game GM mode where we know how things are going to go down and how players will develop, and they always tend to develop the same way. With this player, he's 21 years old. We have no idea what's going to happen, but it could be some great business by Utah. It could be a fucking disaster. I lean towards the side that it's going to be a really good contract. I think it's going to be fine. All right, we got Kevin Lankinen, goaltender, signs with the Vancouver Canucks. So Vancouver, a little bit of a goalie situation going on. We don't really know what's going on with Demko, and I just drafted Demko in my fantasy draft, so like I need to know what's going on with him, and this signing makes me a little bit more nervous that maybe Demko isn't ready to go just yet. I don't know. It could just be a safety net. Always a good thing to have a safety net, but $875K for the 29-year-old goaltender. I don't know where the fuck he was playing last year. Was he in San Jose or something? Was he in Nashville? I don't remember. But regardless, Vancouver doing their best to make sure that they have goaltenders in the system just in case something happens to Demko. All right, we got an entry-level deal for Hiroki Go Zick. Let's go with that. 3 years. Congratulations. Welcome to the NHL. Signing with the Nashville Predators. Let's just make sure there's been no trades. Absolutely not. So there we go. All right, so those are all the big signings that have gone down this week. Let me know what you think of the Moritz Seider signing. I mean, Detroit fans got to be super duper happy about that. The only thing you could be upset about that is, you didn't get the 8th year, but what a freaking bargain. I cannot believe they got that underneath Dylan Larkin. That is some tidy work, Steve Yzerman. And on the note of Steve Yzerman, I know. But his GM, there's some contracts on Detroit that you're like, what the fuck were you doing? Like Justin Hall. But then you got the Dylan Larkin, you get the Raymond, you get the Seider. So far, so good. He is, from what I can see, he is nailing the contracts that he needs to nail, and he's kind of whiffing on some of the free agent stuff. But it's really hard to, really get a winner at a free agency because you're generally paying more. You're in an auction with 31 other teams that probably want them too. So yeah, there's going to be misses, especially when you're signing people through free agency. But there's probably been some not so ideal trades in there as well. But regardless, I don't think anyone can deny that Yzerman just dusted these young stars right there. I mean, very, very good contracts right there. Let me know what you think of those contracts. All right, let's touch on some of the news that's going around in the NHL. I know that preseason / training camp and all that stuff is going on. There's a ton of news going on with injuries and so on and so forth. There's almost too much for me to just cover in terms of injuries right now. But I did see that San Jose was dealing with a ton of injuries throughout training camp, including Askarov, their new goaltender. So that could be not ideal. I'm even seeing things that like maybe Askarov isn't even going to be a 1A, 1B situation in San Jose. He may even be starting with like the Barracuda, which is like, what the hell? Because like people think that Blackwood still has the starting job. Honestly, if I was San Jose, it's like, no, 100% Askarov has a spot in the net for the San Jose Sharks. That's why we brought him here. He's going to be our future goaltender. The only, like, it would just be like if the season was really, really bad. And I don't know, man, like that's kind of what he's going to have to go through, Askarov. Like he's going to have to play on a bad team for a few years and battle through it. And then eventually the team will get better around him. But yeah, starting off with quite a bit of injuries with San Jose. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I don't have them, really making any waves in the regular season. They're still a bottom-feeding team, in my opinion. But yeah, there's a lot of injuries going on with San Jose. I saw Leshunov, I believe. He went down I believe it's Chicago's prospect. He went down. He's going to be out for a few weeks. So it's going to be a lot of injury things going on right now. We'll kind of wait until the regular season starts, and we'll focus more on the injuries that are going to make people miss out on regular season games. If they're just missing training camp and preseason, I mean, it sucks, of course, but it's not the biggest deal. So we'll save injuries and all that stuff because there's just so freaking many of them. Let's swing over to Anaheim. I touched on this last week, but Anaheim does name Radkel Gudas officially as the new captain of the Anaheim Ducks. And I'm just saying, if I was Cam Fowler, I'd be like, yo, what the fucking fuck? I've been here forever. I'm a defenseman, and you give it to this fucking guy? Like, I know Radkel Gudas has been a really nice fit for Anaheim since he got there. Like, he's fit in well with the community. People seem to really like him. He seems to be a fan favorite. And cool, that's awesome. That's great. I'm just thinking about Cam Fowler right now. I'd be like, yo, what the fuck, bro? Like, I've been here forever, and you're just going to give it to this dude? He just showed up. But congratulations to Radkel Gudas. I don't know if anyone thought that Radkel Gudas would be a captain in the NHL someday, especially with some of his, towing the line play that he had in Florida sometimes, screaming in Joseph Woll's face in the playoffs that year. That wasn't very nice, but you know what? I think Gudas has turned a page a little bit over there in Anaheim. So, hey, nice for you. Speaking of nice for you, Kyle Okposo decides I'm going to retire as a Stanley Cup champion. Congratulations, Cal. I mean, really, I've always liked Kyle Okposo. He was awesome. I really enjoyed. He had an interview or two. I know he was on Spit and Chicklets like right around when they won the cup or whatever, and he was awesome, man. Like, really got a good look at what kind of guy he was. Seemed like a great human. I believe he was the captain of Buffalo. Makes a lot of sense. He seems like a leader and just a really good person. So congratulations to Kyle Okposo. You know, having to deal, he played on some rough teams, but it's nice that he gets to finish it out with a Stanley Cup. That is sensational. And speaking of sensational, the sensational Jaromir Jagr apparently is playing his final season of hockey. Excuse me. And if you haven't known, Jaromir Jagr is still playing professional hockey into his mid-50s. He's still going strong, and he still is playing good hockey. He is not like a detriment to his team on the ice. He is actually a benefit to their team. He is still Jaromir Jagr. He's not the 90s Jagr, but he's still freaking good, and he's a legend. And of course, the debate now is, does this guy go directly into the Hall of Fame, or are they going to make him wait the 3-year waiting period, which is just asinine? No. Put Jaromir Jagr immediately into the Hall of Fame. Are you kidding me? The dude hasn't played in the NHL in years. That's a long enough waiting period for me. I don't care if he's been playing professional hockey in Russia or wherever the hell he's at. Put him in the Hall. He is excellent. What an awesome player. What an awesome human. And an absolute freaking legend. Absolute legend. So that is awesome. It will be sad, you know, it's not like I'm watching Jaromir Jagr play hockey over there, but it's going to be odd, you know, for Jagr to finally not be playing hockey. It's going to be kind of like when Jerome Iginla stopped, like, even though they kind of forced Jerome to stop before he wanted to stop, but it felt really weird not having Jerome Iginla playing hockey anymore, and so it's going to be more weird when Jagr stops playing hockey. That's a big one, man. That's a big one for sure. And people can bring up their Mount Rushmore of the greatest players of all time. I think just like a Mount Rushmore for players, that's just not enough. There's too much. I can't give you my Mount Rushmore. Like, I don't have the visual. I didn't get to watch Gretzky. I didn't get to watch Jagr. I didn't get to watch Lemieux. I didn't get to watch Bobby Orr. I didn't watch Guy Lafleur. I didn't watch Gordie Howe. I didn't watch Patrick Waugh that much. I didn't get to see freaking Hasek in his heydays. Like, I didn't get to see a lot of the people that were on a Mount Rushmore. All I can do is give you a Mount Rushmore of players from like 2004 and onward, and it'd be like Crosby, Ovechkin, probably McDavid already because the guy is fucking ridiculous, and Phil Kessel because I just love the man. He's on every Mount Rushmore in my life. So there you go. There's a quick Mount Rushmore for you. Speaking of Phil Kessel, the number 81, Phil Kessel had testicular cancer, if you didn't know, very early in his career, very early when he was with the Boston Bruins, and he had surgery to fix that, and then he came back to the NHL. In a very strange turn of events, Dakota Joshua wears number 81 and is also suffering from testicular cancer. He had the surgery, everything's okay, he is on the mend. So that is huge for Dakota Joshua. Are you now my new Phil Kessel? Like, you guys are getting a little too similar here. We got one nut. We're wearing 81. I'm excited. So I am rooting for Dakota Joshua this season. He had an outstanding season last year for Vancouver. He's getting paid now, and I hope that his role continues to be very important for the Vancouver Canucks. Recover and get back on the ice, buddy. You'll be just dandy. Look at what Phil Kessel was able to do after the surgery. No problem. Fucking Iron Man in the NHL, 2 Stanley Cups. Don't worry about it. You'll be just dandy, kiddo. All right. So I think that's, some of the news that's been going around in the NHL. I think it's time to go over and let's do some freaking predictions, baby. Let's get her done. And as always, I am extremely nervous for these predictions because I generally do terribly. I will always be reminiscent of the time I predicted that the Bruins were not going to make the playoffs and then proceeded to have the greatest regular season in NHL history. So don't bet the house on my predictions, please. I'm just throwing them out there. And let's start with the scariest freaking division in the whole entire league. I'm going to piss off a bunch of people probably here, but here we go. So take this with a grain of salt with the Boston Bruins because as of right now, they don't have Jeremy Swayman, so I will probably be chickening out here. But in the Atlantic Division, first place, I have the defending Stanley Cup champions, Florida Panthers. I think they're on it right now. Like, the Paul Maurice system is completely locked in and it's working. I think they're riding on fucking cloud 9 right now, and they're going to be looking to prove that. Well, I think they've already proven enough to me. They've been to the Stanley Cup 2 times in a row now. I could see this team getting back there again. It just depends on how much gas is left in the tank. I don't think it'd be a good thing if Florida finishes first. That would be probably not what they're looking for, but I could see it happening, so I'm just picking Florida. Oh, God. So, second place, I have the Bruins. That's second place if they have Jeremy Swayman. If they do not have Jeremy Swayman, oh boy, I could still see Korpisalo holding it down. But let's just say theoretically, Swayman doesn't sign till like almost the deadline, which I think is December he has to sign. Let's say he signs like mid-November. I think Korpisalo is a good enough goaltender behind the Bruins defense that they will be able to hold their own. So with Jeremy Swayman, second place. Without him, third place. And third place, who I have, is the Toronto Maple Leafs. If Boston doesn't get Swayman, I'll slide Toronto up to second place. Toronto's made minor upgrades to their blue line. We will have to wait and see how effective those upgrades are. We'll see what Hakanpää, OEL, and of course, Chris Tanev. Anyway, we got to see what these guys can do back there. And a huge question mark is goaltending. I'm not really all that worried about Stolarz. I think he is going to be dynamite. I honestly think he may end up being the starting goaltender. That's how good I think he is. Joseph Woll's unproven, man. What we've seen in the limited role, he's been good, but injury prone, and we'll see what happens. It's a huge, huge year for Toronto Maple Leafs in terms of goaltending, defense, and the future of the team. You got Marner on his last year, so I know he's probably going to be aiming for that 100 points. Some people thinking that he might be trying to chase down Dougie Gilmour's top point production in Leafs history at 129 points or something. So maybe Marner, if he stays fully healthy this season, maybe he could be Dougie. But I don't really want that to happen. It's Dougie. All right, fourth place. Fourth place, I have the Tampa Bay Lightning. I have Tampa in there, even though, yes, they lost Steven Stamkos. They brought in Gensel, who I think is very comparable. I think that's going to be a fine transition for Tampa Bay. I would imagine that Vasilevsky is going to be coming back more healthy this time, and he will be giving them much better goaltending. It's still Tampa until they stop being Tampa. I can't count them out. And now the fun begins. Now it's all the teams that everyone wants to make the playoffs, but not all of them are going to make it. You got Detroit, you got Buffalo, you got Montreal, and you got Ottawa. Oh dear. Okay, so in terms of which one I think has the best chance to make it in there, I have Detroit right now, but Ottawa, I mean, they're all so freaking close. Ottawa right now, I honestly have 8th just because of the Ottawa factor. Like, even though their team looks decent on paper, they brought in a new goaltender. Ottawa. Things always happen in Ottawa. Rather, the Shane Pinto thing last season, the constant ownership debacle, and I will mention right now that Ottawa did purchase a 10-acre piece of land in LeBreton Flats with the idea to put an arena over there, where they should have built it in the first place, but oh well, too little too late, I guess. But we'll see what happens with that. Regardless, I'm going to go with Detroit. In there. I believe in Sider, believe in Raymond. Patrick Kane there now for a full season. Their blue line's not that good, and their goaltending kind of stinks. So maybe I'm not picking Detroit. Hold on. Buffalo, what are you looking at? Who do I have? Okay, so it's Detroit or Buffalo. Oh, man. Buffalo, I feel a little... Actually, scratch Detroit. Not going to put Detroit there. Their goaltending and defense, to me, I do not believe in it. Buffalo, you got 2 first overall picks back there on the blue line, plus Bowen Byram. The goaltending still is iffy. If Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen can be what he was last season towards the end and continue doing that, Buffalo should, I'm not going to say cruise, but if they get the goaltending, Tage Thompson bounces back, which he should because he was injured for a big part of the season. That's why he was pretty rough. And they need some bounce backs from some other guys. They need Cousins to keep going. They need the young guys to take another step. I don't know, man. I still believe in Buffalo, but it's hard to pick them to make the playoffs because it hasn't happened in so freaking long. Like, it's easier to say they won't make it, but I'll put them at 5th, Detroit 6th. 7th place, I actually have Montreal. Don't count out Montreal, man. All these young players, that Demidov kid, their goaltending is getting better. Watch out for Montreal. They could even move up to, I could see them moving up to 5th, 6th. I think it's closer than people think. I don't think Montreal is that far down anymore. I don't think they're a bottom-feeding team. We're going to start seeing these Lane Hudsons and some of these younger defense start cracking into the lineup and seeing what they really have. They brought in Patrick Laine, and if they can get a little bit of injury luck and get a full season out of Doc, get a full season out of Newhook, this is a good-looking team, man. So don't sleep on Montreal. I don't have them in playoffs or anything, but I think they could potentially be in the hunt this season. So watch out for Montreal. And last place, I have Ottawa right now. It's a crapshoot, man. All four of these teams, even with Tampa, like Tampa Bay could fall out easily. Boston could fall out easy if the Swayman thing doesn't happen. So this division is still very wide open in my opinion. The only two teams that I feel very confident in is Florida and Toronto, because Florida's the champs. I know people are going to be hunting for them, but they're still a fantastic team. So I don't really have any worry about them. They did lose a lot of guys. They did, so maybe they don't get first. I just don't want to put Toronto first. I don't want to do that. But yeah, those are really the only two that I'm 100% solidified on. Boston, absolutely, if they get Swayman signed, that shouldn't be a problem. Ottawa, I don't know if Ullmark by himself is going to be able to get it done. Like, what if he gets hurt? Their defense is still pretty weak. Their forwards are, I don't know, Claude Giroux's another year older. Detroit, like I said, I just kind of talked myself out of them. I don't like their defense, and I don't like their goaltending. Like, yeah, they got Maurice Sider back there, but that's about it. And then goaltending, like, their goaltending tandems just have not been that good yet. So, I don't know, man. If you don't have good goaltending, like, good fucking luck. And Montreal, I mean, they're pretty good. So that's what I'm going to go with. You got Florida first, Toronto second or third, Boston second or third, depending on Swayman. You got Tampa Bay, Buffalo, Detroit, Montreal, Ottawa. I think Montreal is ahead of Ottawa at this point. I think they have some higher-end talented players in the Montreal system than Ottawa does. Ottawa has, like, a lot of really good forwards, but I don't know, man. Like, they need to bounce back as well. Like, Timmy Stützle needs to bounce back. Brady Tkachuk could use some more goals, and yeah, man, we'll see. It's going to be very, very interesting regardless. Like, the Atlantic is always pretty wild, man. There's a lot of teams that have been trying to break through that glass ceiling and get through there, and I feel like the teams like Tampa and Boston are the ones that could potentially slide out at some point. I just don't know if it's this season either. Like, I don't know, man. It might still be another year for Buffalo, Ottawa, and Detroit, and possibly Montreal as well. But let me know what you think of those predictions. I know they're bad. And speaking of bad, let's continue the bad predictions with the Metro. All right, maybe we'll go from reverse order. How's that sound? Let's start with 8th place. No disrespect, but the Columbus Blue Jackets. I mean, with the tragedy and the loss of Johnny Gaudreau and everything, hopefully there is a silver lining in this season. You know what would be really awesome? If Columbus just, like, rallies and they have, like, a really nice competitive season. But I don't think anyone would be really shocked or, like, really put it against Columbus if they happen to have a down year after such a horrible thing has happened. But maybe with the starting of the season and everyone can rally behind, like, the Gaudreau Knights, and when they go to Calgary and they all have a celebration, maybe that lights a fire underneath Columbus. But as of right now, they still have quite a bit of ways to go. Last season was kind of a mulligan as well with the Babcock situation. Let's hope this is the beginning of the start of the good times for Columbus Blue Jackets fans. I mean, it's been nothing but roughness, so I'm really hoping that Columbus can have something decent happen to them this season. So, but sadly, I have them at 8th. So, yeah. We got Philadelphia, 7th place. It will be very interesting to see what Michkov can do this season. There's a lot of hype around him right now, and I'm personally excited to see what he can do for the Philadelphia Flyers. But with their goaltending situation, their defense is pretty weak. I mean, you look at them on paper, they were definitely punching above their weight class last season with the coaching style of John Tortorella. I don't know if that's really going to get them a lot further this season as well, but with the Michkov, sprinkle that young talent in there. Very excited to see what he can do, but I have Philadelphia in 7th. Pittsburgh I have in 6th place. I'm not buying what they're selling. They think they're going back to the playoffs. I don't think so. I honestly believe that the team downgraded over the offseason. They didn't perform very well last season, and all their stars are healthy. Like Letang, Malkin, Crosby, they're all playing healthy. Erik Karlsson isn't, but like, I don't know, man. It's not looking really good here for Pittsburgh, unless Crosby. But if Crosby at his age, like, you can't really expect him to put the whole entire team on his back at this point in his career. He basically already is what he did last season, and yeah, they didn't make it, and now they lost even more people, so I can't see it, man. Like, they need some major bounce backs from, like, Raquel, maybe Michael Bunting and Crosby really connect, because Bunting was a good addition. I really like that. You would need Malkin to have a resurgence back to like a 100-point player. Like, you're just not going to get that. Erik Karlsson would have to put up 100 points. Letang would have to put up, like, it's just not going to happen, y'all. So I got Pittsburgh in 6, but prove me wrong, Pittsburgh. Prove me wrong. We have the Washington Capitals. I have them 5th. They could easily, I have New York Islanders and Washington. They're like right next to each other. I'm fairly impressed with what Washington did in the offseason with their moves. Bringing in Pierre-Luc Dubois, we'll see how that one works out. He's been kind of a locker room cancer, kind of wherever he goes. The LA thing was an utter disaster, so we'll see what happens with P.L. Dubois in Washington. He could very well be centering Ovechkin, and we all know what the goal is with Ovechkin is to get him those goals, and I'm honestly expecting Ovechkin to be better than he was last year. I'm not expecting him to go back to the 50-goal regular Ovechkin, but I think he's not going to have the cold start that he did last season. And I'm hoping for another 30-something goal season out of Ovechkin. I hope that he can do that. I did draft him this season in my fantasy draft. I got him in like the fucking 5th round or something, so whoa, dude. So I'm definitely got my eye on Ovechkin this year. I got the Ovi watch is on, but I have him in 5th. They could make the playoffs, but I don't know. 4th place, I have the Islanders. The Islanders with Patrick Waugh behind the bench now fully. I expect the Islanders get back into the playoffs. I don't believe that Sorokin is going to have the offseason that he did. But honestly, this is where I am kind of convincing myself that, well, you know what? Maybe Washington is a better team now. It all comes down to the goaltending and defense. We'll see, because last season, Pulock and Pelech missed quite a bit of time with the Islanders last year, and that's like their 1A, 1B defensive defenseman right there. So clearly that had an effect on the team. The penalty kill was struggling. Sorokin was struggling, but Varlamov wasn't struggling. So we'll see if there could be a goalie controversy, because it looked like last season that Patrick Waugh was definitely more keen on Varlamov, and maybe he and Sorokin were butting heads a little bit, so maybe that becomes a storyline this season, but, that was just some early stuff I felt like I was noticing, but you get a bounce back from Sorokin. I don't even know who the fuck they added. If they added anybody, it's not really a Lou Lamoriello thing to add, but, their team isn't bad, like, up front. It's not amazing. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not overly convinced that the Islanders are going to be all that awesome. It's mostly down to their defense, right? They got excellent defense and goaltending, though it wasn't that amazing last year. And they got to figure out to hang on to those leads, man. Last season was such a disgrace. How many freaking leads did they blow last season? They got to figure that shit out, and they should be fine. 3rd place, I had the Carolina Hurricanes. I still believe they will be a playoff-bound team, though they did lose quite a bit in the offseason. They lost Brady Shea, they lost Pesci, so their defense took a little bit of a blow, but they're going to have some young guys coming up. So we'll see if the young defense guys can come up and be good. Their goaltending is still a little bit of a question mark with Anderson and Kochetkov. Like, is Kochetkov legit? He seems pretty good, but we'll see how that one goes. And then forward-wise, it would be, I don't know. With their forwards, they have a lot of talent there. Like, I'm always looking at Svechnikov, waiting for that guy to bust out for a big old season, but I'm still waiting, man. He's still kind of hanging around that 60-point. I'm waiting for him to explode for that over a point a game player. So maybe this season is the season, but I still think Carolina is going to be a competitive team. They should be going back to the playoffs, especially getting coached by Rod the Bod. Come on now. 2nd place, I have the New Jersey Devils. I am rather impressed with what they did in the offseason, fixing the blue line up quite a bit, getting their goaltender in there. They brought in Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, and I like what they added on defense. They brought in Pesci, they brought in I know people may be hanging on to the fact that Luke Hughes is going to be missing some time, but did we forget about Doug the Thug Hamilton? Like, come on now. Dougie's going to be there. He's I'm not convinced that Luke Hughes is going to take Dougie's top power play spot. Dude makes $9 million, so you better have him on that top beepy. But regardless, with the additions on defense, the goaltending, if their forwards can stay healthy, I'm looking at you, Hughes, Hischier, so many others. They have a lot of injury problems. I would love to see Hughes have a full, healthy season and just crush it. Get like 120 plus points, just like make himself a bona fide superstar. Like, we saw what he can do last year. He was crushing it at the beginning. He was outscoring McDavid. He was going nuts, and then he got hurt, and it definitely cooled him off. So hopefully Jack Hughes can get back to that early stages where he was last season at the beginning of the year and just crush it, stay healthy, and get New Jersey back into the playoffs. Yeah. First place is the Rangers. I got the Rangers up there. They're still a powerhouse with Shesterkin. Their forwards are still great. Maybe Lafreniere is finally arrived. Is this the season we see him be a point-a-game player finally? Could Kakko maybe finally break through? At this point, it's I don't know about that, but they also have Hedl. They have a good team, man. They have really good defense. Keandre Miller, Adam Fox. The Jacob Trouba situation, which seems to have cooled off. Trouba denying all these rumors of him getting traded and the Rangers wanting him out and all that crap. So it looks like that's cooled off a little bit. I think the big story now is going to be the Rangers and Shesterkin and that contract extension that will be coming. So last I heard, or just recently just saw it on Sportsnet, is that they are currently far off in numbers. So that could be term and dollar value. It could be one or the other. It could be, who knows? All we know is that they got all season to figure it out. It's going to be stupid expensive for Shesterkin. He could arguably be the highest paid goaltender by the end of this. So if I was a Rangers fan, I would have quite a lot of chips on the table for this season, because once you start paying Shesterkin that $10+ million that he's inevitably going to get, it's going to be harder to win a cup. Definitely going to be harder to win a cup. So I think this year is kind of a big one for the New York Rangers. If they're going to do it, this could be their year. So keep your eye out on the Rangers. I got them first place in the Metro. And we'll take a quick detour into some other news that has been going around the league. I feel like I touched on Ottawa purchasing the 10 acres of land in the LeBreton Flats with the idea they're going to build an arena over there and a whole entertainment complex district, all that bullshit. Don't expect that anytime soon. They're not even, this is just the beginning of the process. So we're probably not going to see an arena in LeBreton Flats and Ottawa playing in that arena for probably 5 years or so. So it's great that they've announced that, but we're still a long ways away from Ottawa getting into a new building. So it's good that the ball is rolling, but yeah, we're still quite a bit of ways away. They're saying it might be a year until they even get shovels in the ground. So yeah, it's going to be a minute. And speaking of it being a minute, Evander Kane may not play for a hot minute here. He's looking like they're going to push him back till 2025, so he's going to play maybe sometime in February he comes back, something like that. I don't know. So we'll keep our eyes out on the Evander Kane situation, but now we'll go to the West. Let's start with the Central, and we got the Chicago Blackhawks in 8th place. Basically, they added in a little bit. They definitely brought in Bertuzzi. They brought in, TJ Brody. They brought in some guys. They definitely are starting to build a little bit of a team around Bedard. Bedard now has a line that he can play on as long as it stays healthy. He's got Taylor Hall and Tyler Bertuzzi there, so that's a decent enough line. He's got, at least some top 6 wingers with him this time around. That maybe wasn't so much the case last season. So looking for Connor Bedard to improve on a very impressive rookie season, but I'm not really expecting a lot out of Chicago this year. They may bring up some more of their young guys. I'm thinking Levshukov or something. I think they might have that guy, but I think he got hurt or something like that. But regardless, Chicago's still in the rebuilding phase, but so far so good. They got Nick Foligno as the captain this season. He's going to be shepherding along a young Connor Bedard, who inevitably is going to be the captain of Chicago once Foligno is done with them. But I think they're still in for a little bit of hurt in Chicago. We got, who's next? I don't know if I want to make a switch right here. 7th place is Utah. 7th place is Utah. I thought about moving him to 6th, but I'm very excited for Utah, and I think a lot of people are excited to see what this team, this Arizona team, can really do without all the bullshit around being in Arizona and their future and all that shit. Now that's all pushed aside. They have a home. They have a fan base that wants them here. Not that Arizona didn't want them, but they're fully embracing this team, of course, and I think that's going to rejuvenate some of the players. It's just going to be like, is Connor Ingram going to do what he did last season? Like, I don't know. It's very risky. I hope so. I mean, that was such a fun story to see Connor Ingram have a season like that, but not really something you would want to maybe bet the house on, bet the farm on, if for Connor Ingram to be Vezina caliber again this season, but that would be really cool. Regardless, I'm looking forward to the young players on Utah, to see them playing in front of a big building. What is it? Gunther, he just signed the big contract, so a lot of eyes are going to be on him and what he can do this season. Clayton Keller, man, I'm really hoping that he explodes for big points this season as well. Big fan of Clayton Keller. Schmaltz, stay healthy, and he's going to have a good season as well. And they brought in new guys. Sergachev, big addition on the blue line. We'll see what he can provide for them back there, but I still think they could surprise. They could definitely be a surprise team this season. I don't think they would make playoffs or anything, but they could end up finishing higher in the rankings than we thought, including myself. 6th place, I have Minnesota. They're still in the hurt right now with the salary cap situation, with the retention or the penalties on Suter and Parise. So the team is still pretty lean, but they have Kaprizov. The goaltending last season was a little bit of a fucking nightmare, so hopefully they can bounce back with that. But they do have the 40-year-old Marc-Andre Fleury back there, so I don't know how much more is really left in the tank there. They have Wallstead, they have Gustafsson, so I don't know, are they maybe hurting their future goaltending by keeping Marc-Andre Fleury around? I know Fleury is a legend, but at this point, shouldn't he go somewhere that maybe would be more competitive, more bound for the playoffs, a little bit more guaranteed? I see Minnesota as still a team that's battling their way for a playoff spot, and I don't think they're going to make it this season. So maybe Marc-Andre Fleury gets moved. At this point, if I was Minnesota fans, I'd be a little bit nervous about Wallstead. I want to start seeing this guy getting games played. That's supposed to be our future goaltender, and not to be rude, but you're kind of wasting that ice and giving it to the legendary Marc-Andre Fleury. I just don't think it's necessary at this point. It's not like Minnesota's going to win a cup, and it'd be an amazing story if they do, and Marc-Andre Fleury's the guy holding it up and winning a Conn Smythe and everything, but I just don't see it in the cards right now for Minnesota. But I think this is the last year they're underneath that terrible salary recapture or whatever the heck, so then they can finally start getting back to work, and we can see Kaprizov hopefully in the playoffs again. 5th place, we got St. Louis. I like St. Louis, man. I had them as a under the radar making the playoff team last season because I liked some of those additions that they made when they brought in Kapanen and they brought in other guys that could be reclamation projects. I don't think either of them really worked out. And now they bring in the Edmonton Oilers guys with the qualifying offers or whatever, the offer sheets. They bring in Broberg, they bring in other guys. So I don't think those two guys alone are going to fix what ails the St. Louis Blues, which I think majority is the blue line. I think their defense is a little lacking. Broberg will help. They've lost Torrey Krug for the whole entire season, so, that's going to hurt their power play. Hopefully Parayko can bounce back. I mean, I don't know, man. Their blue line's kind of weak. Their goaltending was shockingly good with Binnington and Hofer. Hofer looks really good, and Binnington, if he can just continue to play goalie and not try to be a UFC fighter and cutting WWE promos and shit like that, he could be a good goalie as well. He was very good last season, in fact. I was very surprised with how good Binnington and the goaltending of St. Louis was. It was just their offense started out slow. People are really thinking Robert Thomas is going to have a massive season this year. He is underratedly phenomenal. So Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, they got Jake Neighbors. Maybe he busts out for some big points this season as well. He was scoring some goals last season. So St. Louis could be in the mix for a playoff spot. So watch out for St. Louis. Fourth place, I got the Winnipeg Jets. Can't quite count them out yet. With the Hellebuck factor, Hellebuck is such a good regular season goaltender. Playoffs, a little bit of a different story, but yeah, no. They did get the Cole Perfetti situation done. He has been re-signed with, hold on now, it's just a, what do you call it, a bridge deal, I do believe, but we'll check it out. Let's just hit the old reload button here. I saw that the other day, that he finally got signed, and it was inevitable because Perfetti was at the practices. He was like, I think he was like in the games already without his contract, but he gets a 2-year extension, $3.25 million. Fine with that. Absolutely fine with that. Fair cap hit. And we'll see what happens in 2 years. At 2 years, it could be a very much bigger number. I'm hoping, I bet that Winnipeg fans are hoping for that. Cole Perfetti looks really good, man. He had a really good hot streak going there last season, then he cooled right down. So if he can continue that, keep that going for longer, then Cole Perfetti is going to be an issue and a good player for the Winnipeg Jets. All right, so I have them fourth place. Looking for some good seasons out of Kyle Connor. Kyle Connor, get back into that Rocket conversation. That would be really key. Third place, we have the Nashville Predators with their big moves in the offseason. Stamkos, Brady, Shea, and who's the other guy they brought in? Didn't they bring in some other big guy? Oh, well, they brought in people. Big people. So, yeah, Nashville is looking to do some damage. And what seemed like, maybe they were on their way to maybe retooling, rebuilding. Everything flipped. Now they bring in Stamkos. They got all this shit. So, very fun. Really excited to see what this team is going to do. They got Saros back there, one of the best, most consistent goaltenders in the league. They got stud defense, Roman Josi. I mean, yeah, I'm pretty excited to see what Nashville can do this season. I got them third. I think they're going to be just dandy. Second place, now it's the 1-2 combo. These two are both powerhouse teams, but I'm going to go with Colorado second. If they get Nichushkin and he behaves himself, and if they happen to get Landeskog back, then more than likely first. But Nichushkin isn't coming back anytime soon, and it doesn't seem like Landeskog, if he is returning, it'd probably be closer to playoffs, if not playoffs. So, with that being said, Colorado second, they're still a powerhouse. McKinnon, Rantanen, Makar, come on now. And goaltending, we'll see what happens. I mean, Georgiev was an all-star last year, maybe slightly undeservingly so, but it is what it do. So they have a decent enough goaltender. We'll see what that Annunen kid can do. Maybe he steals the job, but it's Colorado, man. Yeah, I think they're going to be just dandy. Could be a sneaky Stanley Cup, not really a sneaky one, but a Stanley Cup competitor for sure, especially if they get Nichushkin and Landeskog back in their lineup. First place, we got the Dallas Stars. I think Dallas is an absolute powerhouse, top to bottom. Great depth on forward, great depth on defense, great goaltending. Dallas. First place. Simple enough. Holy shit, is that all of them? Nope, I forgot the Pacific. All right, we'll do the Pacific. And here we are. We're doing the Pacific. Let's just like I said we would. So, 8th place, San Jose. Is it that hard to think that San Jose is going to be the worst team? I mean, they still have a ways to go. Macklin Celebrini's here though, y'all. So, and I just read an article for the top 20-something prospects in the NHL under 23 years old, and Macklin Celebrini's number 1. Did they forget about Connor Bedard? I don't think Connor Bedard was on that list. I don't know. But it might have been a list of like players that haven't played NHL games yet. But regardless, Macklin Celebrini looks like he is the real deal. We've seen what he can do in the preseason with some impressive-looking goals, an impressive-looking shot, and apparently he's an impressive passer. So we'll see how many San Jose Sharks he can pull up with him. I don't know who's going to be on his line just yet, but they got like Zetterlund. They got some people over there. They got some guys, and they got some stuff coming up. I mean, goaltending will be an interesting situation with the whole Askarov thing now. We'll see if he is going to be the 1A, 1B starter. We'll see. It seems like well, now he's injured, so he won't be there just yet. But at some point, we're going to hopefully see Askarov in some NHL games for the San Jose Sharks. All right, well, it's going to be another rough year for San Jose. That's okay. But, yeah, they have Will Smith. They got guys coming. So it'll happen. 7th place. This hurts a little. The Calgary Flames. Okay, hear me out. Settle down. I'm a Calgary Flame fan. It's going to be a rough one, y'all. It's going to be a rough one. I know they're kind of impressing right now in preseason. Settle down. It's preseason. So don't take that into full account. They have Vladar and Wolf as their 1A, 1B. It could be good. It could be disastrous. Dustin Wolf looks like he is going to be a legitimate starting goaltender in the NHL. His numbers weren't incredibly impressive or anything in the limited starts that he had last season. But when you're getting called up and shit like that, I don't expect him to be giving us the best performances. So if he can be on the team, he's already there. I think he'll perform better than what he was giving us last year. And Vladar, maybe we finally get to see Vladar as this amazing goaltender that looked like he was in Boston. Like, I'll never forget that, man. When Boston had to trade away Vladar, and like hearing what the Boston fans and even the management in Boston was saying about Vladar, I was like, oh my God, Calgary just stole this guy, and it just hasn't worked out yet. So maybe this is the season. He finally gets the chance. No more Markstrom, so it's going to be him or nothing. So we'll hope that Vladar. There are a lot of defensemen that could make some waves for Calgary this season. I am forgetting their names right now, but there's some defense making some waves on the blue line in Calgary right now. I'm pretty excited for Kevin Ball. I like that player. I think he could potentially become like a little fan favorite if he's throwing some big hits out there. He's massive. He's like 6'7" or something. Maybe if he gets a big bomb of a shot, scores some nice goals. I don't know. Could be good, but with the forwards, it's pretty lean up front. Hopefully, what's his name? Sharon Govich. Hopefully he continues to be the player that he was for Calgary last season. He was outstanding. Blake Coleman, if he can replicate what he was doing last season, and Huberdeau, for the love of God, can you please get up to at least point a game this season? That would be dandy. And Nazem Kadri, you just keep being Naz. You're the man. I love you so much. And looking at Mackenzie Weegar as well. That dude had 20 goals on the blue line last year. Not a great chance that he'll do that again, but maybe he fucking does. Mackenzie Weegar, did I say someone else's name? Mackenzie Weegar is who I'm talking about. He was pretty damn good for Calgary last year, so we'll see what happens with Calgary. I'm not expecting a lot, but they could surprise me, man. That's kind of where Calgary does the best, when they're the underdogs, not a lot of expectations on them. Then they kind of wow everybody. So we'll see what's going on with Calgary, but my expectations are set too low. 6th place, I have the Anaheim Ducks, y'all. I think Anaheim is starting to get going now. I think it's time. The young guys are getting better. This is the 2nd season of Leo Carlsson. Maybe he gets in for the full season now. Maybe they think he's ready. Last season, they were pulling him out of games for like conditioning and strength training. McTavish, that kid is awesome. If he stays fully healthy, you will see how awesome he is. The blue line, they got young defensemen coming up. Like, was it Zellweger or something? They have some young D coming up. The goaltending is, we'll see. I think Dostal is a good goaltender. Gibson, it's Gibson. So we know that, Gibson's been on the trade block for a century, and now apparently Cam Fowler's on the trading block. Not that they're forcing these guys out, but apparently they're giving them the options. It's like, hey guys, you want to get the hell out of here? Go win something? Go ahead. We'll let it happen. But Radko Gudas, the new captain. We'll see what happens with Trevor Zegras. This is a massive year for him. He's been on the downswing for like a year and a half now. He needs to bounce back, and bounce back hard to, show the league that he's not just this flashy, fancy player that dipsy doodles. And no, he needs to start playing, and he needs to stay healthy, and he needs to get back to business. And yeah, I think Anaheim is ready to take a step forward this season. Not playoff worthy, but I think they're going to be better, man. I think absolutely they will be better. 5th place, we got the Seattle Kraken. They you know what? Anaheim could potentially jump them as well. I could see it being closer than maybe expected, but Seattle definitely had a down season. Very much so struggled to score goals. And, they had a good goaltending performance from Joey Decord. I don't know if you're going to get that again. You got Grubauer there, who's always fucking terrible. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. Easily, the Kraken can fall out. Easily, you could see 4 or 5 teams getting in the Pacific side or in the Central side. But, I don't know. The Pacific still seems a little bit weak, just a little itty-bitty. But we'll see what happens with Seattle. We got the Los Angeles Kings 4th place. Again, they could potentially fall down a little bit as well. They brought in Kemper. We'll see if that one works out. I mean, yes, he won a Stanley Cup with Colorado. That was Colorado. He wasn't such a great goaltender with Washington. Los Angeles, they're saying they're not going to play the 1-3-1 this year, so they're going to be less defensive-oriented. That may not be great for Kemper. I mean, it would have been okay if they played the 1-3-1 with Kemper there. It probably would have worked out okay, but I do understand why they want to do that. They do have offensive skill. They have Quentin Byfield. They had Artur Kaliev till he got hurt. They have Fiala. They have talent up front, so I think they want to start using that talent and try to score some more goals at the sacrifice of defense. We'll see if that works out. Their blue line took a little bit of a hit. They lost, Matt Roy? They lost one of those guys, but we'll see how badly that one hurts. I wouldn't be shocked to see LA fall out as well, but for now, I got them at least fighting for a playoff spot. 3rd place is your Vegas Golden Knights, whether you like it or not. They're always going to be in there, man. Injuries is always going to be a major issue with this team. Mark Stone, Eichel, others, so many people seem to get injured on this team. What's going to happen with Pietrangelo? It kind of seems like he might be coming to the end, and Vegas might Vegas him and just send him out and bring in some other new fucking young defenseman. Who knows? They do have Noah Hannafin now. He's there for, now he's going to have a full season. He looked pretty good, pretty good for them. I still think he may be a little bit overpaid, but I know a Hannafin. He's pretty damn good. And there's definitely, one more year of Shea Theodore. That's going to be interesting. What are they going to do with Shea Theodore? And do they still have Marchessault? Oh, I think they got rid of Marchessault. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Vegas, definitely going to be a Vegas season for sure. They're going to piss off a lot of people by bending the rules. They're not breaking them. They're just bending them. So, I'm fine with it. You know what? I respect Vegas and what they're doing. It's a cutthroat business, and they're not afraid to cut a throat or two. So we'll see what happens. And the Robin Lehner situation, apparently, I don't even know what the fuck is going on with that. I don't think he exists right now as a human. I think Vegas is just like, nah, we do not acknowledge that human being. We don't acknowledge that salary. We do not acknowledge. So I don't know what the hell is happening with that, but interesting. 2nd place, the Vancouver Canucks. I believe in Vancouver. I think they'll do it again. They'll be a good team this year as well. Aside from hopefully no injuries take them down. I'm worried about Demko. I think we're all worried about Demko. Hopefully it's not as bad as it may seem. I hopefully, because I drafted him and I need him. I need you. Don't you fuck with me. All right. But yeah, Vancouver, come on now. They got Quinn Hughes. Pettersson, I think, is going to bounce back. He's going to have a big year. JT Miller's unreal. He continues to just shut everybody up in around the league. Like, yo, dude, the guy gets 100 points. He's really good. Brock Besser is going for 50 this year. We'll see about that. Yeah, man, I think Vancouver is good, but it did seem like everyone kind of peaked last season. We'll see if that's true. We'll see if Dakota Joshua can come back and be the player that he was last season for them. We'll see. That's all there really is to do. We just got to wait and see now. But I think Vancouver's still going to be good. 1st place is Edmonton. They're on a mission. It's a mission. Cup or bust this year, 100%. They have to win this cup. Got to win this cup this year, man. It's only going to get tougher. Leon's getting paid more. McDavid's going to get paid more. Fucking Bouchard's going to get paid more. It's going to be tough. Got to win now. This is it. This is the year. They got a good enough team. I mean, honestly, yes, they may have downgraded on defense, but they bolstered up offense. They brought in Arvidsson. They brought in Skinner. That's even more goals right there. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, what the fuck's that goalie's name? His name is Skinner as well, the goaltender. Hopefully he can be more consistent this year. And yeah, The good thing about Skinner is when he has a bad game, he tends to bounce back with a good game more often than not. So that's a really good sign. You don't want a goaltender that when they lose, they get down into the rut and then they just kind of spiral. So that's not something that Stuart Skinner is known for. First place for the Edmonton Oilers. Let me know how bad my predictions were. Throw out your predictions if you're brave enough. And yeah, holy crap. Are you tired of predictions yet? I hope not, because we're going for it, baby. We're doing a predictions extravaganza. Let's do the awards now, baby. Just the important, just the big awards. I'm not doing every single award, like the fucking leadership award, shit like that. I'm not worried about that. Let's just do the big ones. So the heart. Good Lord. Oh boy, it's been a long one. All right, Hart for the MVP in the league. My 3 nominees will be, let's go with Connor McDavid, Nathan MacKinnon, and rather Kucherov or Austin Matthews. I think I'll go with Kucherov just because Matthews has more support on his team and what Kucherov did last season. I think I'll go with that. So McDavid, I got to try and write these down with one hand. So McDavid, we got MacKinnon, and Cooch. I'm going to go with, it's going to be McDavid. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. MacKinnon. We'll go MacKinnon because, McDavid has Leon Draisaitl and others. I think MacKinnon, man. I think MacKinnon is going to, not drag his team. Like, that's the thing. Like, the Hart, it's going to your most valuable player. I mean, like, just imagine if let's say the Penguins make the playoffs this season, Crosby would definitely be a Hart nominee, if not winner, because we all know that Crosby, if they make the playoffs, he is the reason. He is the sole reason of it. So, But yeah, I'll go with MacKinnon just to be a little bit different. I like MacKinnon. Very important to his team. Art Ross will be fairly similar. I'm going to go with McDavid. We're going to have Kucherov back up there. Little Cooch. You could arguably put up McDavid or MacKinnon as well. I would say you could potentially see a Mitch Marner get in there into the 120-point area if he, really wants to explode on his contract year. Watch out for Marner to get into those 100-plus points. Watch out for Jack Hughes. He could easily get into those high, the bigger numbers in the 100s if he stays fully healthy and everything. But I think I'm just going to stick with the usuals. Going to go with McDavid, Kucherov, and MacKinnon. Your winner will be McDavid. Now, the number of points for McDavid. So, just listen with this one. So, McDavid has pretty much done everything. He's proven that he could score the goals. He got over 60. He could prove that he could pass. He's got the 100 assist season. What's next? Well, the big milestone would be the 200-point season. I know. That is fucking crazy. And he, even on his best seasons, he's still like 60 points away from 200. But I don't think he's going to get 200 points this season. But it would be cool if he comes out and says hey, I would love to be the next player to have a 200-point season. To finally be the only other guy to do it. Mario Lemieux is the closest second. He got 199 points. 1 point shy of 200. You can't give him 200 because he didn't get there. Just like Austin Matthews didn't score 70. He scored 69, bitch. So maybe McDavid will... All right, what's next? I've done it all. 200 points has got to be the next milestone. So maybe McDavid is going to go even more Super Saiyan this season and try and get even more points. But I think McDavid this season will hit 158 points. There we go. It's locked in. 158 points for McDavid. That's what I think he will get. Let me just make sure that's in the right area. 158 pointeroonies for McDavid. We'll go now to the Ted Lindsay. This is awarded to the player voted by other players as the best in the league. Again, you're going McDavid for sure. I will put in Austin Matthews because I know people really appreciate goals, and we know that I feel like Matthews will be in that goal scoring category for sure. And I don't know, goaltenders don't usually get love here, so I will throw in a defenseman, I think, but which freaking one? There are so many amazing defensemen out there. Ted Lindsay. Ooh, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'll just put McKinnon in there again because McKinnon is just goddamn. Man, this is tough. Let's go. Okay, McDavid, Matthews, and McKinnon. McKinnon, just because he is such a treat to watch. All right, Rocket Richard, who's going to score the most goals? Matthews, got him in there, of course. Should I put Reinhart back in there? Do I really believe that Reinhart is going to get back into that elite goal-scoring category again? He had 57 goals, I think, last year. 57, 58 goals, something like that. Could McDavid get back in there again? He could if he wants to. Hyman? I mean, Hyman was getting pretty high up in there last season as well. I'm going to get my boy Kyle Connor in there just because I fucking love him. I want him back in that area. That would be amazing for him to get like 60 goals this year. That would be so sick. Love Kyle Connor. So I'm going to put my boy in there, Kyle Connor. And who else is a big goal-scoring kind of guy that I would love to see score a lot of goals? Could put McDavid in there, but that's kind of boring. Fuck it. Let's put Reinhart in there again, I believe. I kind of have to believe because I drafted him as well. So I would really like him to go there. In terms of goals, I'm going to go with Austin Matthews. He's going to win with 66 goals. 66 goals this season for Austin Matthews. It's very hard for me to say that just because I am I don't like putting things like that out into the ether for us Leaf fans because it always comes back to bite us. But yeah, I think 66 goals for Matthews. That'd be fucking crazy. Even though I imagine he's probably going to try and push for that 70. We'll see. Norris, well, we got to put in Makar. We know that. That's just kind of built in. There's so many good defensemen, man. I'm going to go with Roman Josi. I think Roman Yosi's going to bounce back and get his name back into that conversation. And fuck, man, there's so many good ones after this. We'll put in the current champion, the current holder of the Norris, which is Quinn Hughes. I will have him in there as well. In terms who wins it. Actually, first, before even, I got to shout out all these other defensemen. Hedman, Fox, Haskinen, Dahlin could be in there as well this season. What if Luke Hughes fucking goes nuts this season? He gets in there. I don't know. But I'm going to go with Makar, Josi, and Hughes. I'm going to give it... Ooh, that's tough. The only reason why I'm not instantly going with Makar is because Makar tends to miss quite a bit of games because of the way that he plays. So you can almost kind of pencil in Makar to miss like 10 to 15-ish games every season. That kind of seems to be the way that it is. But I think I'm going to go Josi. I just fucking love Josi. So handsome. So handsome. Let's go with Josi. So we'll put a little star right there next to him. Calder's going to be very interesting. I may have to do a little bit of research on that one before I come back. Let's come back. Vezina. Ooh, okay. Let's go with Saros. Gonna put Saros up there. Shesterkin. That's definitely not spelled even close to correctly. Could Vasilevsky bounce back and get back into that category again? I mean, why not? But who else do we got out there? We got Bobrovsky. You got Hellebuck, of course, the current champion. But I think even if I don't know, man, would there be a little hesitation to give it to him again because of his poor playoff performances? I know it has nothing to do with playoffs, the Vezina, but would that sway some of the voters? I'm wondering. So, Saros, Shesterkin, and, oh man, could Sorokin get back in there? That would be nice to see. Sure. Let's put in Sorokin, because even on a down season, he was still pretty damn good. And if he gets back to what's up, he'll be damn good. Selke. All right. We're going Barkov, of course. That's first. Got to get Barkov in there. Not Batkov, Barkov. Barkov. I will put Matthews in there because, these Leafs are getting regularly nominated. So I'll put Matthews in there. He's going to have to be stepping up defensively even more so now that he's the captain. So there's going to be even more responsibility for him. And I will go with Nico Hischier. The winner, Barkov. I think it's Barkov's trophy It's just Barkov's trophy right now, I think. Matthews could potentially, but I don't know, man. I think it's Barkov. Jack Adams. We got Rod the Bod. I'm just going to keep putting Rod the Bod in there until he wins one. Rod the Bod. We're going to have... See, the fucking Jack Adams is such a stupid award because they don't give it to the actual, like, best coaches. They just give it to the coach that coached the team that shouldn't have been that good. So who's a coach of a team that may surprise? Washington's coach? Let's put in Washington's coach. I'll get their names at some point. Washington's coach. And what's another team that could surprise? Calgary. I don't think they're going to surprise that much. That'd be a hell of a surprise they make it into the playoffs. What's it got? Ooh, maybe like one of the Detroit, Ottawa, Buffalo guys. Maybe if one of them get in there, that could be something. Fucking Lindy Ruff, I'm doing it. Lindy. He's going to get Buffalo back in there. Fucking rights. Lindy. There you go. And we'll do the cup prediction right now. Ladies and gentlemen, get nice and close. Can you hear me? Your Toronto Maple Leafs will not win. They're not going to win this cup. It's not going to happen. I will not be picking the Toronto Maple Leafs to win the cup this season. Out of the West, I think it comes down to Colorado and Dallas. I'm picking Dallas to come out of the West because I just love that team. I really want Joe Pavelski to rejoin the team in like February or March, and then off he goes to the Stanley Cup Finals and wins. The Dallas Stars are your 2024-25 Stanley Cup champions. God damn it. There you go. Dallas Stars. That's who I'm picking out of the West. Out of the East. Could be New York. Like I said, kind of a cup or bust season for New York. Oh, by the way, Edmonton, I'm sorry, dog. I'm sorry. Y'all could make it. It could happen. It's just Dallas and Colorado, I think, have more complete teams. Dallas has the most complete team, in my opinion. And I think they've learned so many lessons out of so many close calls over the last couple of seasons. I think this is the year they finally go over that hill. They climb the mountain and place their flag up there. But out of the East, I got New York. We got Florida. Florida could very well, I would be shocked if they make it to the Cup Finals a third time in a row, only to lose. I can't see them winning again. Back to back. That's hard. Really tough. Not easy. Who else? Toronto will not make it past the first round again. I will promise you that. Boston, can't see it. Who else is over there? Who else is in the East that's really dangerous? Tampa's not all that dangerous to me anymore. I mean, they're I don't think anyone in the East really compares. Hold on. Let me take a real solid look here in the East. Let me see. East. I'm not really afraid of any of them. New York is like kind of... New Jersey. Okay, well, New Jersey, they could. I don't know yet because I haven't seen this team compete yet. We'll see what Markstrom does. And underrated, like, they have Jake Allen there as well. Jake Allen's a great goaltender. So if Markstrom goes down, they got that covered. Their defense, I'm very impressed with what they brought in there. Their defense looks pretty damn good now. Their forwards, we know what's up with that. They got great forwards. They just really haven't... they did have that one good run there in the playoffs. I mean, New Jersey, I will go with New Jersey and or the Rangers. I would love for those two to meet up in the third round or something, if that's possible. New Jersey, New York Rangers, that would be sensational. I think those are probably your two powerhouse teams of the East. Regardless, I don't think either of those teams are better than Dallas. I'm going with Dallas, but Dallas is going to have a fucking tough road to get there. They're probably going to have to go through one of, if not both, Colorado and Edmonton. They're going to have to get through those teams to get to the Cup. Not going to be easy. With that being said, an Eastern team could steal away the Cup again because of how hard the road is in the West. I think the West is stronger than the East right now. In terms of the top end, like there might be some more good teams in the East overall than in the West, but the top end teams in the West, there's like Cup contenders over there, like a few of them, like Edmonton, Colorado, Dallas. Who else is over there? Even Nashville, man. Like Nashville, I think their team is pretty fucking complete looking. Like I wouldn't be incredibly shocked if they went deep. Vancouver also, like, yeah, I think the West definitely has more Cup contenders on their side. On the East, it's a little bit light. I really can't joke with myself and say that the Leafs are there. There just aren't. Did you watch that preseason game where they got fucking smoked by Ottawa with their like AHL squad? Like already a terrible looking start for the Leafs. But yeah, so with the Conn Smythe, with the Dallas Stars winning, it could go, oh my god, Joe Pavelski, what do you think? That would be sick, even though he's not even in the league right now. That'd be a hell of a pick right there, I would say. So we got Dallas as your cup winner. Conn Smythe, it's rather going to the Ottman or, fuck, that is so tough, man. That is a tough pick. Could be Robertson, could be Rupe Hintz, who's had great playoff runs in the past. I think I'll go with the Otter. Let's go with it. Let's give it to the goaltender. Your Dallas Stars are my picks for the 2024-2025 Stanley Cup champions. Come at me. Tell me who's going to win it. Throw your predictions out there. Don't be shy. Don't be scared. I'm terrified. Everyone's going to crucify me for these picks, but it's okay. I will. All right, let's just go back quickly to the Calder. I'm giving it to Macklin Celebrini just because. Celebrini. But I know there's other names out there that are going to make waves. I just don't remember them right now. So I'm picking Macklin Celebrini. Maybe next episode we'll spend more time and talk about the rookies and who could be like the top 10 rookies of the upcoming season, like who to keep your eyes on and stuff like that. We'll spend some more times with the rookies next episode, but I think we've done enough for this episode right here. There's all your predictions, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. That was a hell of an episode. Throw your predictions at me. Tell me how bad my predictions were. It's okay. I don't mind. But yeah, there we go, everybody. In terms of what else we got going on with the podcast this week, really hoping that I'll be able to get the Plucky Squire review out for the GamerCast this weekend. I am plucking my way through that game right now, about, I think, almost 3/4 of the way through, so I should be good for the review this week, and then we'll be set on our way for the spooky October, all horror-themed episodes for the GamerCast in October, so be on the lookout for those. And your wrestling recap. Gonna have your wrestling recap this week as well. I don't believe there's any pay-per-views, but every time I say that, there are pay-per-views. So if there are, I will be doing a separate pay-per-view review for those. So there we go, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. I got a Twitter page you can follow along with. I put up announcements as best as I can. Got a YouTube channel, Gamer GX Videos, where I upload all of these episodes. You can go over there, subscribe. Great place to drop a comment on those episodes. You want a question answered live on the podcast, send in a question. I'll shout you out, answer your question. Anything about hockey, video games, or wrestling. Outside of that, no professional, but I'll try my best. And there is an email address. If you want to have a private conversation, my door is open for everyone and anyone. And one more time, y'all, thank you, everyone, so much for listening. Share it with a friend or 30, and we'll be back again with some more GX Plus Cast.